Welcome to Hair Metal Chaos Live with the Guru and Rachelle. My name is Anthony, but they call me the Guru, and we'll get Stevie here in a second. Tonight we are talking Motley Crue. Is there any band more responsible for creating this genre of music that we love more than Motley? Their debut album came out in Leather Records in '81, and the Sunset Strip was never the same. So tonight we're covering the Crue. We'll be taking your questions, and we have a special guest joining us. The Duke of Spook himself, Wednesday 13 from the Murder Dolls will be here, and I'm excited as shit for that. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the show. And remember, you come for the hair metal, but you stay for the chaos. And the chaos begins right after this.
Metal Chaos with the Guru and Rachelle.
Charlie's so cute. Here, let's get rid of Charlie. And, let's get rid of Charlie and let's add Stevie Rachelle. Holy shit! The all-new generation is here. Stevie, how's it going?
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Unfortunately, I can see you too, if you know what I'm saying. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What's up, Anthony? What's up, everybody out there in
YouTube land?
YouTube Wonderworld land? It's hotter than hell in Southern California, and I'm looking at the news right now, and there's a bunch of fires that are starting to break out in the mountain regions surrounding Los Angeles and its various suburbs. So fingers crossed.
Well, Ryan, who appears on the channel a lot, is a firefighter in California. He's not in Los Angeles. I think it's like Santa Barbara or something. But anyway,
Right.
So that sucks. Hopefully everything's safe and everybody's good. But yeah, that's horrible. It is cloudy as shit here in Fargo, North Dakota. And this has been like the rainiest summer that I've seen in forever. But Charlie and I did go for a walk today, and she's staring at me lovingly right now because we did so. We're going to talk about, before we get into, because we have Motley Crue tonight, and the big announcement that Wednesday 13, I just dropped an interview with him yesterday, holy shit, that is epic. I need to get one. Bad. I'm gonna get a Wednesday 13 shirt, absolutely. But Wednesday 13 will be here at about 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Central. But last week was the big announcement, and the big announcement being that when me and my buddy Jeremy Lauer fly into LA on July 21st, and that is a Tuesday, and you hooked it up, so we are going live from the Rainbow on the 21st, and everyone is invited, and I can't tell you how excited I am for that.
And I will say this. One, I'm stoked on that too. Just so everybody knows, we're going to do the same live show. Same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 Central, Eastern Standard Time will be 8 p.m. But we will be live at the Rainbow, and we'll probably be there by like 3 o'clock. Because we have to set up a couple of computers. This will also be the first time that me and Anthony will be doing the show side by side. Yep. We might not be sitting right next to each other, but within the same context of that building and a couple of booths. And we're going to have some guests. So at some point, I might have a guest sit next to me. Anthony might have a guest sit next to him. So for anybody on the West Coast that wants to come, you're invited. The Rainbow is open weekly for dinner and lunch. And if you want, I would say, maybe at some point a week out, call there and say, hey, we'd like to make a reservation on Tuesday. Come down, 4 o'clock, 4:30, get a table, get a booth, order a pizza, get a couple drinks. They got killer food there. The show will go live at 5 o'clock. Obviously, we're going to want you guys to hoot and holler and give us a little love, just like a typical radio, where they go live from the car dealer or from a county fair, wherever they're at. We'll be live from the Rainbow Barn Grill in Sunset, same time, same everything. But for the locals that want to come, our advice is to get there a little early. Get a table, get a booth. The closer you are to the front, You know, we can call you out. You can hoot and holler. We can ask a few questions. You can ask a few questions. We'll answer. And we're also going to have a few other surprises, not only for you, but for you, Anthony. Some other things that you don't know what's going to happen, but you will find out on Tuesday, July 21st at the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
Yeah, he told me that, and I'm like, dude, you can't fucking play with my emotions like that. Just tell
It's
me what it
okay.
is. So he's not going to tell me. But yes, be there. And hey, instead of like having to comment on YouTube 50 times, fucking, we'll just take questions from people that are there. And if you're daring, maybe we'll have you come on and sit with us and ask a question. Or maybe if you're wearing like a tough shirt, or I don't know if anybody had a hair metal guru shirt out there. By the way, I'm working on getting some merchandise. I did have a merch company. There are shirts in existence. Unfortunately, that merch company wasn't that great. So anyway, July 21st, yes, you are invited. Come hang out with us. And then on Thursday, fuck me, what is that? I got to get rid of
Charlie.
Charlie. I got to get rid of Charlie. Charlie's over. She'll come on here in a second. On Thursday, the 21st, the 23rd, Tough at the Whiskey A Go Go with Foxy Rocks and American Jet Set opening. I've never been to the Whiskey. I've merely walked by it. I've never seen Tough live. So I'm going to kill a couple birds with one stone. So that is going to be an awesome show.
It's going to be beyond awesome. Also on the bill is Last Wish, RDG,
Okay.
and Voltagram. I don't know who those bands are. I do know American Jet Set. I've become friends with Ian and the guys. They've actually played with us a couple of years ago, I think. As a matter of fact, they've played with a bunch of bands. They've played with like LA Guns, Bullet Boys, probably Kicks. They're from that same region as Kicks. I'm pretty sure they're a DC
Right.
band. So they're coming out here. Great guys. I've known Foxy Rocks forever. They were
Yeah.
kind of one of those bands that was on the strip in like the early mid 90s after the Tough and Wild Side were like the last couple bands to get a deal. Foxy Rocks was playing the strip with a bunch of they got a pretty over the top glam show. If you like the Zeros, if you like the Queenie Blast Pop, Big Bang Babies kind of glam stuff, Foxy Rocks is going to be right up your alley. All the guys they do the full costumes. They got cool lights, the whole deal. All great guys too. So it'll be a cool night. And since the Rainbow's down the street, a lot of people for these kind of shows go to the Rainbow at 6, 7 o'clock, eat some food, and then a couple hours later, just walk down to the Whiskey, walk in, watch the show, hang out, and at some point head home.
Come say
Then we got Friday.
Then we got Friday, and let's get rid of that. And by the way, like, come say hi. Shit, I'll probably be hanging by the merch booth at some point when things are going on, and I want to
Yep.
meet as many people as I can. And then on Friday at the Grove of Anaheim, with Slaughter and Quiet Riot. That's a badass bill. So
Killer show.
so be there. And my buddy Jeremy and I, like I said, we're getting in Tuesday the 21st. We're leaving Monday the 27th. So we're gonna do all the amoeba shit, and I don't know if we're going to the beach or whatever. But if you're gonna be around, let us know and come to these shows, hang out with us, and it's gonna be epic. So be there or be square. So
And just one last note on those shows. They're kind of different schedules. Obviously on Thursday night we're going to headline, so we're going
Yep.
on last. Friday night we're opening, and it's also the Grove of Anaheim is more of a theater setting as opposed to a club setting. From what I understand, and I advanced the shows today, they open the doors at 5 o'clock at the
Okay.
Grove. There's like an entryway before you go in the auditorium that's got like a bar, food, drinks, all that kind of stuff. That opens at 5. When Stephanie and I went to Striper and White Lion a couple weeks ago, there was already a couple hundred people in line at 4 o'clock. So they open the doors at 5, and then they open up the auditorium where the show is at 6. And the first
Okay.
band starts at 7, which will be tough. And that's at the Grove of Anaheim. And Anthony, I hate to say this, but you're frozen. I don't know
Are
if
you
you're
shit?
frozen. Yeah, I don't know if you're frozen to everyone else in the comments if they
I'm
can let you know,
assuming.
but you're frozen on the left, and I kind of waited a little bit because sometimes it'll pop in and out within 30 seconds, but you're still there. So You guys just get me right here. And yes, Wednesday 13, the Duke of Spook, Mr. MF himself. There you go. Now you're back. He will be
Uh,
here in a little bit.
I have my internet hooked up, so I'm not on wireless right now, and I thought that was going to be the thing that solved the problem, but apparently not. But I got new lighting, I got
Yep.
internet connections, so whatever. It's just part of the chaos that you come to expect at Hair Metal Chaos. So I also wanted. Well, look at this. Look at this. I hate to. I feel bad that Joey's missing eyebrows is having a bad day. But when somebody says that being here and hanging out with us is what gets them out of a bad day, how can you not acknowledge that, man? Sorry you're having a bad day, but so glad that coming here helps out. That's cool.
I agree. It's something that, we've been doing this. This is the 8th show. So we've been doing this for 2 months. And every Tuesday night, Wednesday, even throughout the week, I've been getting messages now. Hey, watched it, love it. Oddly enough, some of my peers, my rock star buddies and friends have tuned in. People in the industry, gotten a lot of really good comments. Gotten some not so good ones as well. But that's okay. The good is going to outweigh the bad. And you can't please everybody, but, we hope that you guys are having a good time. And here we are.
Hell yeah. And Hobo Raider says, wait, there's computers in North Dakota? Just kidding. Fuck you, Hobo Raider. Shit, I've seen all the new movies. I just saw Back to the Future last week. It was awesome. We just got our indoor plumbing hooked up, so fucking we're all living good here in North Dakota. And then Hobo Raider has another one. Thank you, man, for the super chats. Would love an episode about Tesla. Well, maybe that will be something that can happen in the future. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about Tesla tonight because Tesla is one of the openers of the Motley Crue
The
summer
crew
tour.
tour. Yeah.
So we're going to get into that, and we're going to be giving you an update on what's going on with Metal Sludge and the Hair Metal Guru YouTube channel. But I'm going to get through a couple of these super chats because we really do appreciate
Awesome.
you guys contributing and donating. Nick Fuller, did you guys give Pearl Jam and Eddie a big fuck you during the soccer game in Seattle yesterday? If you don't know, that's a comment from Tuff's American Hair Band song. He kind of stole some lyrics from that. I don't watch soccer. I've always said this about soccer. Like, if I wanted to watch a bunch of guys struggle to score for 90 minutes, I'd take my friends to the bar. So, yeah, I don't watch a bunch of soccer.
And so,
Did
did
you?
you give Pearl Jam Eddie a big F? Well, it's funny. I just pulled up the American Hair Band release featuring the song American Hair Band. This came out 25 years ago in early 2001. And inside this disc, well, here's your factory disc. You lift it up, there's just all kinds of a collage of photos from wherever. There you go. But the inside panel, the first thing you see is the lyrics to American Hair Band. And yes, let's give Pearl Jam and Eddie a big F you. And I blocked out the F word just because I was
Did
being
you?
I was being cognizant. There's
You
actually
pansy.
two versions on this disc. The first track one is American Hair Band, the radio edit, which took out the swear words, and then the final track on the record is track 14. It's the slang edit, which has some various cuss words in it. But yes,
Right. I just did an unboxing video for the 4th of July and a bunch of new things, but I unboxed this because American Hairband is on it. And there's a bunch of demos on here that I think are potential hits that I talked about. And then I also talked about the cover CD because there's number one, a bunch of cool covers, but if you haven't heard the version of it's called Summer of '89, and it's like Stevie's remake of Bryan Adams' Summer of '69, but with the lyrics updated about '89. I played it on Hair Metal Mansion a bunch of times. It's fantastic, so you should pick that shit up.
thank you.
And Jeff McPeak, man, thank you for the super chat. Super cool. And holy shit, Hobo Raider, you're going to need to go mow some lawns this summer to make some more money for all these super chats. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Says, who's the toughest singer on a one-on-one fight in hair metal? I'm going Axl or David Lee Roth because of his martial arts. I'm going Stevie Rachelle. And Stevie, I'm not just kissing his ass. That dude, like, lifts a ton. And so I wouldn't fuck with Stevie if you're talking about these days. I'm
Well,
done kissing your ass.
and there's, I can say this: Jim Gillette has
Yes.
not human strength.
Yes.
And that goes
Jim
back
Gillette.
to when I joined the band. I remember I was always, a little bit bigger and a little stronger than the average. Yes, honey, I see you there. I've always been, I guess, a little bit bigger maybe than the average 80s hairband guy.
Yeah.
But when I joined the band, Jimmy's probably my height. He might be a little taller. Maybe he was 6'1" or 6'2", but we were probably the same weight. And at some point, I don't know how it happened, but we were at the Tough apartment. I'm in the band for maybe a month. And I challenged him to arm wrestle. And he kind of giggled a little bit. And he's like, okay, you for sure. So we locked in and he's, go. And I was full on, and he looked at me and literally said, are you going to start? I mean, his arm was like a pillar. And he wasn't super jacked, but he's got that. I think Jim's from Kansas. He's got like that country boy, just farm strength. I mean, he has always been as strong as an ox. And he actually fought Golden Gloves a little bit, trained, was a boxer, wrestler, all that. So when he started training at some point and got into UFC or got into MMA, he told me he was training with Hoist Gracie, which I was like, really? And then he sent me the photos. I'm like, He's not doing a little, Saturday morning academy either. Those guys were going, all UFC guys. And I was like, damn. So he fit right in. Yeah, if you want to talk about a hair metal guy that might kick your ass. Oh, there we go. There's the gong. Cut. Hey, Jim's a tough son of a bitch.
Jim is tough as shit. I wouldn't fuck with him. Obviously, Stevie's girlfriend is like, yes, Stevie would beat everybody because Stevie's so cool. Okay, Stephanie. Just kidding, Stephanie. Just kidding. Okay. Hey, we got, what, 13 minutes before we get Wednesday 13 in.
How many minutes?
13 minutes. One day he texted me and he's like, hey, or I said, hey, Wednesday, how about Tuesday? We were scheduling an interview. He goes, I bet you never thought you'd be texting that. Hey, Wednesday, how about Tuesday? Anyway, so let's get into what's going on Metal Sludge. We had a couple things happening, a little bit about my channel, and then let's make them kind of short because we'll get Wednesday here in about 12 minutes. So what do you got going on? Go ahead. You can start.
We'll
Ladies first.
I'll do the first one.
Yes.
Ladies first. First thing I'll drop is I did a little blurb for my buddies at Get on the Bus. They put up a feature with Phil Collen from Def Leppard last week. And Phil's a nice guy. I met him at Zlozauer's birthday party, I don't know, a year ago. And was hanging out with him and Zach Wilde. And both could not have been nicer guys. But Phil's very personable. He tells a bunch of killer stories on the Get on the Bus interview. He's talking about everything, talked about how he was getting phone calls from Joe Elliott saying, hey, we might need you. Pete's not doing so good, meaning Pete Willis, Right. And at some point he came in and did some stuff on a record, and then they did a few shows, and he said that he was officially never even asked to join the band. He just started playing and never left. So Phil Collins got some great stories. Go check out Get on the Bus. They got a great YouTube channel with a ton of content. And they put up a story with, or I should say, an interview with Phil Collen. It's great. He talks about being in Girl with Phil Lewis of LA Guns and all the bands that were coming up at the time, Iron Maiden and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the stories I put up on Sludge last week. Awesome.
Well, speaking of Motley Crue that we're covering on Friday, I put out a video with the Roundtable guys. We reviewed the Vince Neil 1993 Exposed album and kind of finished the video by comparing it to the 94 Karabi album, and kind of everyone gave their opinion. Like, which one do we listen to more these days? It was a really cool video, and that video is like getting close to 8,000 views. So check that out. What else do you got going on?
It sucks doing this every week. Every week for like a month, maybe more. I'm reporting on another guy that died. Sadly, last week, July 1st, Sean Glass from the band Soil, they were out of Chicago. He passed away. He had a stroke sometime last month in June. He's 57 years old. Passed away on the 1st. He's married, has a son. I know some of the guys in Soil, and I've met them in the past, including Sean. We were on a tour in the UK 20 years ago, and they were playing one side of a venue. We were playing the other. It just really sucks. It's sad, and it sucks even worse that he's got a family and a young son. But Sean Glass from Soil, out of Chicago, rest in peace to a fellow rock and roll metal brother.
I mean, I'm 53, you're 60,
Right.
and our heroes that were out before us, I mean, a lot of these guys are getting to be 75,
Right.
close to 80. So
Yeah.
I really, the next couple of years, I mean, hopefully not, but the next few years, eventually we're all gonna start. It's hopefully it's a slow process, but anyway, yeah. Okay, what the fuck else did I do? Oh, the so this video went kind of crazy, and it's Motley Crue related, but I did a review of the July 4th Motley concert in Winnipeg, Canada, and I won't get into what I said. Go check it out. I it was kind of a tough watch, is all I'm going to say. That video is over 70,000 views from the other night.
In
So
like in a day and a half or something. That's crazy.
yeah, which yeah. So anyway, it was a short 14-minute review. So go check that out. And then Stevie, what's your third thing?
Third thing is I did a story on Mark Knight of Bang Tango, or formerly of Bang Tango, and from the Unsung Hero, Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes. He did a blurb, or a blog, I should say, on his Facebook. Kind of took a few shots at some of the former members, and I think it's Joe and Kyle. So Mark's done this a few times in the past. In my article, I've noted some of that. I think there was some stuff a year ago. There was stuff some years ago. There was something that he said back 7 years ago on the same day, July 4th. So Bang Tango has been one of those bands that's been dysfunctional from the inside out. There's been reunions and breakups and reunions and breakups and makeups, and two of the guys are in and then two of the guys are out, and it's really a shame. And I actually texted with Joe the other day just to say, hey, I still keep in touch with Joe Lestay once in a while, and I hope to get him on the phone. And at some point, if I get an update, or if we can get him to come on here, if he wants to talk, it'd be great to interview Joe. He's a sweet guy, and he's went through some health battles. My best to Joe in making a recovery. And Bang Tango is a cool band, but they obviously have their issues within.
We could do a whole episode on inner band turmoil. Or
Right.
is that the right inner band turmoil?
Right.
Because I mean I was never in a band, but like I've said, like I was gone 16 months for Iraq, and you're with the same people constantly. You never have any privacy. I imagine that could be what it's like to be in a van or a tour bus on a big tour.
Right.
And you get to a point where you're like, holy fuck, if I got to listen to this guy talk at me one more time. I mean, I'm just imagining that, and you could probably speak to that better than I can. So, yeah. I interviewed Mark Knight a while back. He had a new album, Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes, 6 Times a Charm. There's some really cool stuff on it. So yeah, it's a bummer to see those guys still feuding. Zachary Attackery, my buddy, says that Crew video is now the second most watched video on the channel, which is true, because my third thing that I would like to talk about is that my Bobby Brown interview, which I think is 6 or 8 months old, last night passed 100,000 views. The first video on the channel to do so. So Bobby was a guest here a few weeks ago. Stevie hooked that up. But man, to see that happen, 100,000 views on a video was insane. So I wanted to acknowledge that and thank Bobby for coming on and sharing so many details about being with Janie Lane and Tommy Lee and her life and her drug abuse and then later on sobriety and all that. So anyway, big milestone for the channel.
That's awesome. Next stop, 500,000 on something. Maybe the next tough interview will get to 1 million, or maybe not.
Todd Chase, let's line it up. Todd Chase.
So, but that's great. Bobby is awesome. Yeah. She's a sweetheart. She's a important figure in the hair metal history, without a doubt.
Yes,
based on the cherry pie
totally.
thing, and people take that for what it's worth. Some people think it's a negative. Some people think it's a positive. You got to celebrate it. It is what it is, and it was a good time.
Hey, we have 317 people here, and that is the last couple of weeks we were pushing 300. So to be over 317, 322, 26 minutes in is awesome. So hopefully he got my StreamYard link, which I sent to him. So hopefully Wednesday will be coming in. But I did do a Wednesday 13 interview. It dropped yesterday. It was 2 hours and 50 minutes. So Stevie, you introduced me to Wednesday. He did an awesome interview. He's a huge hair metal fan. Like, how do you get involved with Wednesday 13?
Well, I don't remember this, but obviously he talked about it in his interview that he wrote the fan club. At some point I wrote him back. Yep. Him and his girlfriend were like 15 years old. Her grandma drove them to the show. And the first time I learned of him was when he was in the Murder Dolls. And some people in the industry that worked in the industry started saying, hey, have you heard this guy from the Murder Dolls? He sounds kind of like you, And I heard that from multiple people. And then at some point I listened to a few of the tracks. And when I say he sounds like me, there's a couple of tracks on Religious Fix that sound very much like a Wednesday song, or vice versa. Right. But either way, some point he reached out when he was touring with Murder Dolls. They were coming to LA. He told me he was going to be in town, told me he was a big fan. I think we had connected somehow through Metal Sludge at that time. And at this point, I think it was 2005. So just over 20 years ago. He was in town and he said, let's hang. So I went and picked him up at the Carriage Inn on Sepulveda and Van Nuys. He was literally rooming with Joey. I met Joey that day. Rest in peace, Joey. And me and Wednesday went to eat. I took him to a 50s diner in Van Nuys. We ate some food, hung out. He put me on the guest list. I went to the show that night or that week at the Troubadour. Josh Todd of Buck Cherry was opening. And we started up a friendship. And ever since, we've been friends. And over the years, like, come to town. One point, I took him and his buddy Rayan from Early Ray and Bourbon Crow. Took them guys to Canner's Deli. Introduced them to Mark. We sat and, at some point took some photos in the Guns N' Roses booth. And me and Wednesday have just remained friends. He's come to see me in concert at a couple of festivals over the years, and I've seen him. And then this tour, this is one of his tour shirts from Australia, 2023. He was on the Glam Fest with Faster Pussycat, Us, Enough, Eclipse, all the bands. And so we were hanging out in Australia at that time as well. We've remained buddies, and I'm glad that you guys have connected. He's awesome.
Oh, he's such a hair metal fan. I mean, and we're planning on doing a second thing where he comes on and we just talk hair metal and it's not more of an interview. But I remember seeing the Murder Dolls on the cover of Metal Edge and going, fuck, they're doing like glam in the 2000s. And so got the first Murder Dolls CD. And then he put out the album Transylvania 90210 in 2005. And I remember hearing the song, the first single, I Walked with a Zombie on the radio. And I was like, holy shit, that guy is doing like punk and rock. And I'm a fan of both. Picked up that CD and I've been a fan ever since. So to do an interview and now, hopefully I'm going to meet him. on Friday at the Grove in Anaheim for the Tough Quiet Riot Slaughter show. That is going to be epic. And with that, let's bring Wednesday 13 on. Hopefully I don't fuck this up. Here we go. Wednesday 13. Shit.
Hey, look at that. Look at us.
Dude, what's up?
What's up,
Awesome.
guys? Hello. Look at that shirt. Who's that? Who's that handsome gentleman on your shirt?
I saw somebody left a comment today. They're like Wednesday's gonna be 50. They said that dude looks like he's about 20 years old, and I'm like, yeah, lucky fucker. Like how
You know
is
what?
the rest of us
The,
age?
the best comment I seen here waiting was somebody said Wednesday 13 is Chris Gaines. Do you know what that means? I'm like, wow, that's a good one. I've been called a lot of things, but I've yet to be called Chris Gaines, the alter ego of Garth Brooks.
Garth
That's
Brooks,
right,
yeah.
Garth Brooks. That's what I was like.
Yeah.
What the
But you know
fuck
what?
was Chris?
We did have a band open up for us one time in Arizona called Goth Brooks.
Oh, dude, that's a great
Right.
name.
Great name. Great
Hell
name.
yes. The greatest tribute band name that I ever remember was called We Got the Meat, and they were an
Oh,
all gay tribute to the Go Go's. It was all dudes. We Got the Meat. Anyway, that was kind of classic.
Excellent.
So Wednesday, like we're gonna get into the Motley Crue talk, but like let's update everybody. What's going on with you? Hopefully, people will check out the interview. But like, what do you have
yeah.
going on now?
Lots of people commenting on the interview. Lots of new people going, "Wow, I didn't know that guy was cool." Wow,
I've seen
I
that.
thought it's mainly people going, "I thought I hated you, but I kind of like you now." I'm like, well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
everything's awesome. This week's great. We have our first show coming up this Saturday. Our first show since February. We have a one-off in this convention in Arizona, Glendale, Arizona, a thing called Mad Monster. And
Okay.
it's a horror movie music convention. Musicians going to be there. It's me, Corey Taylor from Slipknot. Dave Ellefson's going to be there. And then movie-wise, you've got the cast of Hellraiser. Gene Simmons is going to be there. Forgot that. I could forget that. He's on the poster. And yeah, you got people from the movie Night of the Creeps. Linda Blair is going to be there. The Exorcist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of. You couldn't put me in a better place. I love music and I love horror movies and pop culture, and I'm just in my element there. So I'm excited, and we're playing. I'm there signing all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we're playing Saturday night. So
Okay.
yeah, if you're there, come out.
Okay.
If you get a ticket to the show, you can go. I think there's a way you get like it's called a RIP pass, and if you buy it for the weekend, you get into the after show, and we play at 9:30 Saturday night. But I'll be there all weekend signing at my booth. So come by,
Okay.
say hello, bring stuff to sign. I got stuff for sale. We got a limited edition new T-shirt, which I need to get you one. And Stevie, if you
Oh,
need a new one, I'll get you
that
one.
would be
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, that's what's going on this week, and lots of stuff coming up. Tours, UK, America, back to Europe again. We have 50 shows up until December, so it's busy time. So I'm excited. I've had the last 5 or 6 months off, so just been,
Okay.
which has been good because I toured all year last year.
So what do you do during that? I mean, what do you do during that kind of time off? Is that when you're writing and stuff, or
You
what do you
know,
do?
dude, it's so weird when I talk about this on Jason's show. Like when I come back from tour, like the first month sucks because it is so hard to come back and just be normal. If that makes sense.
Your body clock is all messed up,
It's
especially
so
when you're
messed
changing
up.
time zones.
And it
Right.
goes literally from people like like when I'm on tour, my day is I have meet and greets, we have sound check, I have all this stuff, we play, people are Wednesday here, Wednesday this, and then I get home and there's
Right.
nothing at all. So it's almost like it's just like you're being on a roller coaster and you just get off, and it takes me about a month, like just I'm in a funk, and then I go, okay, what am I going to do? And then and I go through phases. I guess I watch your show on the treadmill. I'm an early riser. I get up super early and I stay on the treadmill and I just watch everything from GI Joe cartoons to horror movies and hair metal stuff in between it.
Right.
so yeah, I just occupy my time with toys and collecting stuff. And yeah, for the last few months, I felt like a little kid just being surrounded by all this stuff. I've really, really got into all my collection.
That's awesome. Well, if you didn't know that Wednesday is like a massive hair metal fan, his 2025 album Mid Death Crisis features guest vocals from none other than Tame Me Down of Faster Pussycat. So awesome album. So what and you told me in that but like why don't you quick give everybody a little, since this is a hair metal show,
Mm-hmm.
like when do you, even though maybe we covered this in the interview, like when do you get into hair metal? How does that become your thing?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess the first of it was what was on the radio and MTV. So, I grew up in a single wide trailer with my brother and sister, mom and dad. I didn't have a bedroom till I was
Right.
probably like 9 or 10 years old because we didn't have enough room. I slept on the couch,
Right.
and we had an illegal cable hookup. My rich neighbors in front of me, we basically just connected off their line, and we had HBO and Cinemax, and I had it when I was 6 years old, which is why I watched every one of these movies that I probably shouldn't have watched. I'm talking First Blood, Porky's,
Oh, dude.
everything. I watched everything, every Chuck Norris movie, it's just that's what I did. And then we had MTV, and my brother and sister were watching it, and I thought, man, I don't know that I like this, but I kind of like it. But I didn't really like the stuff they were showing then, because it was all the synth pop stuff, which I
Yep.
love now, but at the time it just wasn't connecting with me. And I remember seeing Twisted Sister, and We're Not Gonna Take It, and my dad was laughing about it, like, "Oh my, can you believe this? Look at that, that's a man." So I'm like, okay, and it was kind of funny, reminding me of cartoons. So I think that was the first thing. And then my brother, my older brother, who's like 10 years older than me, he hung out with this rock and roll guy who was stealing money from his dad. And they would skip school and just go to the record store. My brother would come home with a stack of vinyl, like this thick. And I didn't know how much that stuff cost. And my mom was like, "Where are you getting
Right.
all these vinyls from?" And so I'm just looking through my brother. He's got Shout at the Devil, he's got Iron Maiden, he's got everything. And I was just soaking it in, but I just connected with the glam bands like Motley Crue. Like, I remember him playing Shout at the Devil on the stereo. We had to sit in front of it when my parents left. He just cranked it up, and it literally shook the trailer. And and being in North Carolina in the Bible Belt, and my mom being, watching all these religious shows, watching Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, and and this during the whole satanic panic, it was like, oh, rock and roll's evil, and whatever your parents were scared of, I somehow was drawn to it. So
Right.
that was kind of the earlier bands. And then when I got into seventh grade, I met my good friend Crazy Eddie, and we just hung out in the back of the class and started passing rock magazines back to each other. "Oh, you like Motley Crue? Yeah. You like Poison? Yeah, yeah." And then we're looking through, and we're like, "Who are these bands in the back? Who are these little black and white pictures? Who's tough?"
Rock
And
on the rise.
rock on the rise. So we
Yep.
started looking up these bands, and literally we didn't fit in. We didn't hang out in the lunchroom. So during like lunch, we would just hang out together, save our lunch money. And on the weekends, we would, save our money up and go, "Oh, cool. What are you going to order this week?" "Well, I'm going to order Creature. I'm going to order
Right.
Cherry Street this week. I'm going
Cherry
to,
Street.
and he would order whatever. And like I said, he came from a little more of a wealthy family, so he could order. He had the Nitro. He was the only guy I've ever seen with a Nitro T-shirt. He had he had the album cover, and in the back it had the Michelangelo with the four-neck guitar. And he's the only guy I've ever seen that had one that wore it to school, and everyone picked on him. I remember that. Believe it or not, all the metal guys knew who Nitro was enough to pick on him. And but when people started picking on us for wearing those shirts, it made us want to get into it even more. I mean, I'm
Right.
telling you, I should have wore it today. I saw it earlier. I had an Enough's Enough T-shirt, and on the back it said Heavy Metal Hippie Tour, I believe was the shirt. And I ordered it out of Rockabilia, out of the back of Metal Edge. My mom ordered it for my birthday. I got it, and I remember wearing it to school and just walking through the senior lobby, and all these dudes wearing Dream Theater shirts and Queensryche shirts, and they were, calling me the F word and smacking me upside the head and glam poser, and I'm just like, I'll get you one day. But when people hated that music, it made me embrace it even more so. And I don't know, I felt close to those bands. And then when I wrote Stevie, we found Tough in like a rock scene. I said in the interview, first picture we saw, Michael Lean's up front in the skeleton outfit. Who's this band? They look like Motley Crue. That he's got black hair. And so I ordered the cassette. Crazy Eddie didn't get Tough first. I had Tough before him, so he let me have Tough. That was my band. He liked Tough, but I was the Tough fanatic.
Right.
And I remember I got the cassette, and like I said in the interview, I didn't know that Stevie was the front guy at first, and then I realized that he was. But when I saw the image of Stevie, I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting a quieter kind of voice or a higher kind of voice, and
a whiny bitch.
I couldn't have been more
Ted Poley.
when I heard Good Guys Wear Black and I heard your tone come in. I literally was like, whoa, this is not what this. It was like Michael Monroe to me almost. It was like when I first heard Michael Monroe the same way. I'm like, who's this guy? And then he comes in, and you're like, whoa, he's got this. There's an attitude that came with it, and I just embraced it. And when you wrote me back, you signed the Hell Just Froze Over flyer, and I didn't even know your name. I thought it said Stevie Rockefeller. Because I couldn't read. I'm like, Rockefeller.
Awesome.
Okay.
Rockefeller.
But I put it right in the center of all my pictures on the wall. My bedroom, and I showed the picture on the interview with you, Anthony. My room was just covered. I mean, everything, and it was similar to this. Like, I had a picture of the Toxic Avenger, and then I'd have Motley Crue. And Enough's Enough and Britney Fox, and in between that would be a Hellraiser picture. But when I got that flyer from you, I put it right in the center, right under the Motley Crue Blood poster that Rip Magazine had did. Remember, they put out the Motley Crue magazine that had all those great pictures of the Blood session from Shout at the Devil, and the picture with Motley by the Cadillac, and they're all in the suits, and like, dude, they just look next level to me. But which we'll get into Motley Crue. But either way, I put that flyer right there in the center because I went, I've connected with one of them. I can't talk to Motley Crue, but I can talk to Tough.
Right.
That's awesome.
And we're gonna get into Motley Crue, and guys, I see super chats coming in, so I'm gonna get to you. I promise. I have the next one loaded up. But I was gonna ask you this. I don't think I asked in the interview. You're such a glam fan, but your sound is more associated with industrial or punk or that heavier. Was it ever a consideration that I'm gonna be a glam band? Or I mean, your sound be more that way? What influenced your sound to go where it did?
My sound's been all over the place for years. I mean, this year is 21 years of doing Wednesday 13, and the first album, Transylvania, I feel like that's the closest thing to what I'm doing now. I think my new record to me is a sort of I kind of went back to that. But over the years, I experimented, instead of like trying to do different bands, and maybe I should have did that on a couple of records, but I just experimented. And when I got different members in my band, I didn't talk about this in the interview, but in 2015, I got a drummer named Kyle Castronovo. He's the son of Dean Castronovo.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
From Journey and Heartline.
And Dean he's a legend. I mean, he's the greatest drummer ever. His son is as good as Dean. Dean will tell you, my son kicks my ass. My son kicks my ass. And I'm like, there's no way. And I saw his son play, and I went, oh my God.
Right.
He might kick your ass, Dean. But Kyle came into the band, and it was like literally having the most insane drummer, and it was like Joey Jordison again too. It was very similar. It was like Dean and Joey. together. And my guitar player at the time was, he's more of a metal guy. And I was just kind of getting bored with what I was doing. So we sort of went in more of a metal direction. I just
Yep.
signed with Nuclear Blast, which has got
Yep.
all these crazy heavy bands. And we're still a glam band, I guess, compared to some of those
Right.
bands.
Right.
Right.
But, I just experimented for a little bit. But on this last record, I brought it back home more where I am. Like I said, I had Tammy on the record. The new thing I'm going to do when I do a new Wednesday 13 record, I think it'll be even more so in the sleazy guitar. It's not necessary. It's never really been hair metal. Like I said, all the
Yeah.
bands that I love, and I love the whole genre. There's bands that I would listen to that I would never play that kind of music, but
Right.
I always loved, like, I love like Spread Eagle. I love Hate. I loved the raspiness of those the Sea Hags is a perfect example. That's
Yeah.
one of the very first songs I ever played with Crazy Eddie was a drummer, and the first song he and I played together was Half the Way Valley, and I
Right.
could sing and play it, and that's why I sort of became a guitar player singer. And it is so funny because one of my guys in my band heard me listen to the Sea Hags one day, and he walks by and goes, "Is that your old band?" I was like, "You should, you should say that." But that's where that sound kind of comes from, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is this, and a lot of people might not know this right away, but there's all kinds of elements of the 80s, of the hair bands, of the sleaze rock bands
Yep.
that are in your music. Maybe when you put on the record, it's not going to be front to back like Spread Eagle
Right.
or Tough or Love Hate, but you're going to hear things, even down to that. You've always played with the titles, Look
Yeah.
What the Bats Dragged In, Women and Children Last. You're having a fun
Which
with
David
it.
Lee Roth did hear about that, I heard.
No
and
shit.
he approved it. He said that's
Right.
a great title.
And elements of the show as well. I can say this as a frontman myself. When I saw you play the first couple times, I was like, wow, he's actually a really good frontman with a really good voice. They call it a triple threat. You have the voice, your delivery, meaning the whole presentation, and the image, and the record's got a lot of great hooks in it. It's a good day to be a bad guy, things like
That's a
that,
good one.
those
Yeah.
good stuff throughout. And here's the next thing. You're prolific. How many solo records have you put out in 20 years?
10.
10. I just released
10.
the 10th one, and the live record number 2 was coming out in a couple months.
And that's your solo stuff. That doesn't even include the Murder Dolls, which also
Right.
did stuff like a cover of Billy Idol's White Wedding and cool
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, dude. And that's another thing, too, we didn't talk about. I got on that show Top of the Pops with White Wedding, which is insane.
Oh yeah. Right.
So
Right.
that's Britain's American Bandstand. So
Right.
when I
That's
see old
huge.
videos of T-Rex and Sweet and Alice Cooper playing on that, I'm just like, holy shit, we played on this stage, and we're the only band that I know of that actually played, that didn't lip sync. And
Right.
I wish we would have.
and a lot of people that follow the rock might not realize too that you've had a friendship and a relationship with not only Calico Cooper, but her father, Alice Cooper, who actually he contributed some spoken parts to one of your
Yeah.
records. Am I right?
Yeah, he did on my 2019 going into the pandemic record that fell on deaf ears. I had a record called Necrophase, and Alice does the intro for it. And I wanted to do a lot of people were like, I can't believe you didn't get Alice to sing on this record. I'm like, look, I'm lucky I got him to do what he did.
Right.
Shit, yes.
Right.
But so when I because I've been friends with Alice for years. Alice was supposed to do the intro for Murder Dolls, Women and Children Last. It didn't work out. Before that, he was going to sing on my Skeletons record. It didn't work out. So I just made it really easy for him. I wrote the dialogue for him. I wrote it. I mean, I literally read it out to myself and imitated Alex. I read it like this, like Alice Cooper would talk. And I just literally did the.
Right.
I wrote it for him and I sent it to him, and he did it exactly like I asked him to do. But yeah, that was such a cool thing that no one even really heard about. That record starts off with Alice Cooper and it ends with us doing a cover of "Fuck Like a Beast" Wasp.
Awesome.
Go check that shit
Go
out.
check it out.
Well, and for people who haven't seen you live, you just put out a brand new video
Mm-hmm.
for "Look What the Bats Dragged In." It's on. The song is on the coming up Wednesday 13 Unalive at Poland Rock 2025. That's coming out in September. But you
Mm-hmm.
just put out the video, and that will give you an idea of what to expect from a Wednesday 13
Yeah.
concert and what he is like as a frontman. So I promise you won't regret it. Go check that out.
Yeah, that's a cool video too, as well as a quick description about that. We played a festival last year in Poland,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew we were on the festival. It's basically Poland's Woodstock. It's free. It's open to the public, and they have 700,000 people there over the weekend. So when is that my phone that's doing that? I'm not sure if it's making that
It
That's
noise.
might be
that's
mine.
Okay, I didn't want to
Or-
fuck with anything because I'll destroy the whole thing. Uh, but we were on this festival. We get there. I didn't realize how massive the fucking thing was, and they tell us, "Hey, you're playing at 7:45. You got a 60-minute set, and they want you to do an encore. So before your last song, walk off, and this promoter's going to come out and talk to the crowd. Well, what's he going to say? I don't know. Just and he'll call you." So either way, we had this whole thing on video. Our sound man recorded it all. We went back and watched the footage. We're like, man, this is something we'll never do again like this. Like
Yeah.
this is,
How many people were you in front of on during that set?
Oh, it's like 100,000 people. But
Oh,
and they're all
fuck
scattered out,
me.
dude. It's crazy.
Fucking massive.
It's
That's
just you
awesome.
can't see it. You can't see the end of it.
Yeah.
And there's still room up front. Like there wasn't even a barricade. It's just this giant stage, and you can't even climb up. If you did, you would get beat down by the security by the time you get. It's just like it's not a normal stage setup. But yeah, we just captured a cool moment, and a lot of
Yeah.
people can see us in clubs all the time, which is our natural habitat. But we're in the sunlight. We're in front of 100,000 people, and it's pure adrenaline. We didn't edit one thing on this record at all. It is real. If you hear a bad note, it's a bad note. You hear me out of breath, it's because I'm out of breath because I'm going for it.
Right.
And I watched the video, and like I see my hand shaking on the first song. I'm so
Oh,
fucking
fuck.
nervous. I'm so
Yes.
fucking nervous. I see my hand shake. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop it. Cut that out.
Shit, we just hit 400 viewers a couple
Flair.
minutes ago, and I'm like, fuck, I feel like there's 100,000 people in front of me. I'm going, shit, I hope I'm not shaking.
400 people. This happens on Jason's show all the time. We'll hit 300, 400 people, and I'll go, dude, if I was in a club right now playing a show and there were 300 people or 400 people, I'd be happy as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
I'd be
course.
happy as fuck. I had 150 people, I'd be happy. When these days touring, 400 people
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Right. Right.
So it's awesome that people check this out, and
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So let people know, hey, we got Wednesday 13 on, and we are going to get to Motley Crue, but I want to get to a couple of these, and guys, I'm going to try to get to questions. There's so many questions. I want to do a couple of these super chats to get them out of the way, and thank you to everyone. Jordan Skoll, and I don't want us to talk about this, but Jordan, I want to thank you. But I want us to get into what we think the future holds for Motley Crue. I did a video about the recent concert. Sometimes I feel bad when I'm like, oh, get negative. But Jordan says Motley sounded like shit the other day. Sadly, they're done. So maybe we'll get to that. Jordan says he's listening to Black Sabbath now, Volume 4, Ozzy Forever. Jordan, we're going to get to that because I want to talk about like what's going on with Motley Crue and the future.
Right.
But I want to thank you for that. So, and then here we got Matt Volker. What does that CA mean? Is that Canada? Canada. Well, whatever. If it's Canada, fucking Canada. That's right. Love the Wednesday 13 video. I've gotten so many messages from people who are like, I didn't know what Wednesday was like. You have this dark, spooky appearance, and then when you talk to you're funny as shit. And you're talking about hair metal. I mean, I was dying multiple points during that interview. So anyway,
No, it's funny. The whole thing is like I guess I don't see this the way some people see it sometimes. When I go out to get breakfast sometimes, and I see families go. I go, oh, okay, I know,
Here's the
but
here's the question.
I don't think about it that way. I guess I just always, when I think of myself, I go, well, Alice Cooper, he's funny, he's cool. But people are terrified of Alice Cooper. What am I thinking?
Right.
When you go to a place and you put your name in for a reservation, or you get a coffee at Starbucks and they ask what your name is, what do you say?
In Europe, I always say Wednesday because it's one of my stories I do every day to see if they can. Well, actually, I do it in America when I'm on tour
to see if they spell your right or what they
right, because it's only once a week some person gets it right. Only once a week.
Right.
They spell every other way, and I used to fuck it up too. I have signed a couple people's arms, and I saw the tattoos, and it's wrong.
You spelled it.
Spelled it wrong. This is why I went to just my initials, because it was this pretty girl that I signed her arm. She was a younger fan, and I used to sign it full thing. I would sign it out, and I would be drunk after the shows, and I signed what S didn't day or something like that.
So you just do a W13 now?
I do a W13, and the 3, I try to be, because I'm bored. I'm like, I got to do something cool here. So the 3 is the Kiss S, and it also turns into the zodiac symbol of the serial killer. So it's got little symbolism in it.
The second part of that question is this. You know that my original stage name was Lox's, Steve Lox's, and the band said,
I did not know that you told me.
Yeah. So, and for those that are listening or don't know, I was originally Steve Lox's, and then the band asked me what Lox's meant, and I told them it was sexual backwards, and they said, that's not going to work, dude. You need a better stage name. So before you picked, when did you pick Wednesday 13? Did you have something picked before that? And how did it become Wednesday 13? Were you looking at, were you watching the Addams Family, or how did that all come about?
Well, basically, the band, I was telling Anthony, my band that led into Frankenstein Drag Queens with the later Murder Dolls. So I was Wednesday 13 and Frankenstein Drag. Before that, I didn't have that name, and my real name is Joe, or Joseph, but everyone called me Joe. And I couldn't think of anything, so I just called myself Joe Nothing. I thought Nothing was kind of a cool thing, but it just didn't roll off the way, right?
Like so Joe Normal from the Zeros.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like that, but no one knew who Joe Normal was but me, So, so when I did the Frankenstein Drag Queens, I was watching all the Ed Wood stuff, and I knew we were going to, the whole idea of that band was to start trouble. We'll dress up like girls, we'll act like Twisted Sister, we'll go into bars, and we'll fuck with people, and that's all we did. We got beat up.
Right.
So the reason I took Wednesday is because my girlfriend at the time, she was a stripper, and she had a Wednesday Addams dress that she used to put on for me, and I loved it.
Sounds hot.
And I went, hey, I'm starting this band. I think I want to try this dress on. And I put it on, and she was like, whoa, you look really good in that. And I'm like, cool, awesome. And I did my hair in pigtails, and I went, I'll call myself Wednesday. Okay, what can the last name be? And I literally thought, Nikki 6, I need a number. I need something that sounds cool.
Right.
What's cooler than 13? Wednesday 13. I wrote it down. I went, that works. That sounds like a cool name. I feel like a dude from outer space. And boom, I've been that. And then I had that from 95 till now.
Did you tell Six that story ever?
I haven't told him that story, no. No, all the numbers. It'd be John 5, Nikki 6, Wednesday 13. We'll just put a whole number band together.
There you go. I got a few more super chats to get to, and then we're gonna kind of. I would like each of us to maybe go through like a little bit of your history with Motley Crue, maybe becoming a fan, and maybe talking about the '80s, and then we'll go through like the later years. But Joe Brosnahan, man, he mailed me the Brooklyn Brats picture disc,
cool.
And a Hands Naughty on vinyl
from the strip.
Yes, from the strip. And so he did a super chat. Man, he said, thanks for the kind words during the unboxing. Dude, thank you for sending me that shit. That is fucking amazing. So thank you, Joe. Here is Snake Plus, whatever that is. Are you going to the mid?
That's Snake Plissken. That is one of the greatest characters from Escape from New York.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay.
There you
I know
go.
the codes. I
No
know the
shit, I
codes.
didn't know. Are you going to the Midsummer Music Fest in Managa? I hope to, but I can't remember when that is. I'm gonna get to, so I'm gonna keep going, you guys, because I want to get through some of this stuff. Because
Let 'em
Greasy Nuts says he's been listening to Wednesday all day.
I love it. I love
That's
when
a good
greasy nuts
plan.
are listening to my music. What a
Greasy
visual.
Nuts. Bo Doggy Dog. Nice super chat. You guys are kicking ass. Thank you. Seriously, man. The amount of people who follow what we do here is amazing. We are at 412 people
Awesome.
in watching right now. Nick Fuller says saw a car with a Wednesday 13 bumper sticker in Sacramento. That is
Nice.
awesome.
Awesome.
Nick, thank you for the super chat. Here's a question for Wednesday, and then we're going to get to Motley Crue here in just a second. Mike Crawford. Hey, Wednesday, I heard you mention a club in Charlotte, North Carolina once called Jeremiah's. I played there in 95 when I was in a Kiss tribute, Cold Gin.
Oh, I probably saw that show. I opened up for a Kiss tribute band called Strutter and got kicked out of the club because we started a fight with them.
Jeez.
Which guy did you get in a fight with?
All of them.
Ah, all right. All
The
right.
story about that quickly, we went in,
Yep.
Frankenstein Drag Queens. I told you, we went in to start fights, not to get fans. We somehow got
Right.
fans along the way. It's the
Awesome.
dumbest thing. I think back to it, I'm like, what are you doing? That makes no sense, what we did.
Right.
But that band, we got offered to open for Kiss, the Kiss tribute band Strutter. They were, the best Kiss tribute band on the East Coast or whatever. And we're Kiss fans, fanatics, and we're like, man, let's do it. But they better not butcher the Kiss. Look, we were just being pricks about it, whatever.
Right.
So we go in, and I was the nice guy of the band. My other two guys were just loose cannons, and
Okay.
they just always wanted to start shit. And I had to keep the one guy like Crazy Eddie. I'm like, hey, don't, be cool, be cool. Well, if they say one thing, I'm fucking going off. And so we're sound checking, and not even joking, one of their crew guys comes up and goes, "Can you guys knock it off? Ace is trying to eat." And Crazy Eddie, I looked at him and I went, "Do whatever you want." They just refer to themselves as the members of Kiss. They're a tribute band, is one thing.
Ace is trying to eat.
And
Okay.
oh man, it was
That's
just
great.
the whole show. There's a video of it I have somewhere, and we're making fun of them in between every song. We're going, man, it is hotter than hell up here. Woo! Everything was a Kiss stab. It was just like
Right.
it was a bad yeah.
Funny.
Awesome. Sean W, man, thank you. That says something wicked this way comes, which I played last weekend on Hair Metal Mansion on Rock 101 KLOL. So, Sean, thank you. And
Yes,
Awesome.
Wednesday,
I'm added that song back to the set list, so look for it.
oh, I fucking love that song. Jeez,
That
I love
song
that.
should have been it should have never ever left the set list. We used to end that
Oh,
song. We used to play that song when the album came out. We'd end the show with it, and it went over like it was a song everybody heard. It was crazy. So I forgot about that. I guess I was drunk and forgot about it.
Sean, thank you, man. That seriously, really appreciate it. Stephanie Mandel says, shout out to Wednesday, a
Uh-huh.
legit good guy ready to
Oh,
bowl.
thank you.
That's Stevie's
Yeah.
girlfriend.
We had an
Yeah,
So we
excellent
got
dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. Thank you guys again.
And,
all right.
and yeah, Stephanie and I are going to take on Wednesday and his lovely better half in a bowling match to the death. Losers die on the lanes.
I'm ready for
Awesome.
that. I'm ready.
Awesome. Dreaming in disguise. We're almost done with these guys. Glad to be watching you guys. Glad to see Wednesday here, man. Me too,
Awesome.
man. Seriously, it is an honor to have him here. And Mike,
This fan here, her name is Angela. She's comes to all my shows,
yeah,
and my birthday's coming up in August, and I put out, hey, they basically they got together with like 12 other people, maybe it's 12 people, and they got me a guitar for my birthday, and they already mailed it to me because I'm such a Kiss nerd. They
Wow.
they
Wow.
bought me this.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah.
That's an
So-
Iceman,
That is-
right? Is that an Iceman?
That's a Paul Stanley signature, glam as fuck glitter Iceman. And
Yeah.
thanks to her and several of my other fans, they bought me that
Wow.
for my early birthday present. That guitar fucking rules. I play it every day. I'll probably write my entire new record on it. So thank you again,
What?
Awesome.
Angie.
What? When's your birthday?
August 12th, I turned
August?
50.
Fuck. All right,
Yeah.
we got a month. That
I got
is,
a
man.
month.
We people in this community who are so giving and so wow. That's kick
Yeah,
ass.
dude, I was shocked.
Which this year, he turns 50 because he was born in 1976, which at some point is one of the songs he wrote on one of the records called 1976-66.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's fucking badass. If you like
Hell yeah.
nasty razor blade drenched vocal delivery, check it out.
Right.
Thank you, Steve.
Mike 19 says, "Wish I could stay working late. Be easy on Motley." So we got two more of these, and then we're gonna talk Motley. And thanks you guys for waiting. Jordan says, "Girls" is an underrated record. Dancing on Glass, Rodeo, Something for Nothing, great tunes. Jordan, we're gonna get into talking about the records
agree.
here in a second, and then. Crypticoli is here every week. A lot of these guys, man, we see them every week. They're doing super chats. Man, thank you. In high school, I dated a chick just because she wore a Murder Doll shirt to school. Just got done watching the
Awesome.
Wednesday interview. So cool.
Awesome.
Before I just thinking back to school and hair metal, I think I told this story to Steve Summers. I took the lyrics to I Want to Be With You and wrote them to a girl named Angela in the 8th grade. And I didn't write it completely, but I kind of threw in some of my little stuff. Like I put, if I could have any girl in school, I wouldn't take but one. The only one I want is you. But I kind of added some little stuff into it. I literally the entire song, and it worked.
Right,
It
right,
fucking worked. So
That's
the power
amazing.
of glam was always working for me.
right,
The
right.
power of glam compels you.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. We have 417 people here watching this. That's badass. That's a record. So I was 15 in 1987 when Girls, Girls, Girls came out. I've always considered that to be the summer where I first started going, you know what? I've discovered my musical path. I was getting into Poison and the Bon Jovi and Appetite for Destruction. And I thought Girls, Girls, Girls was great. I loved Wild Side. That kind of got me to go back and get into Shout at the Devil. I'll be honest, I do like theater. It's probably my biggest disappointment of the Crue 80s catalog. And I don't think it was until much later when I really discovered Too Fast for Love. I still think that Too Fast for Love might be my favorite Crue record. That and Shout at the Devil. Dr. Feelgood. My senior year of not my senior year, my junior year of high school, I wore a Dr. Feelgood shirt around all the time. I loved that record. I don't know if I think it's aged all that well, but that's kind of how I got into the Crue. Stevie, I know you have the Crue is a huge part of your history and this music. Like, I think, can we have both of you guys kind of go into like your history with the Crue?
Well, mine starts March 8th, 1984, 6 days after I had turned 18. I was a senior in high school. At this point, I had been hearing Loverboy on the radio and Ozzy, and at that point, had probably already saw a Twisted Sister or a Quiet Riot video. But my friends were going to see Ozzy, and I went only because I knew he ate bats. And at this point, I'm not a heavy metal kid. I'm a skateboarder. I'm into punk and new wave. I like the Clash and Devo and the B-52s. So I go to this show. Motley opens. You know, the lights went out. It was my second arena show, and when I heard the "In the beginning, the good always overpowered the evil," and people are screaming, and all of a sudden, and everybody's with their hands up. And I was mesmerized. That 45 minutes or whatever it was completely changed the path of my life. That was, you know, March 8th of 84, Shout at the Devil. And after that, I came home and was obsessed. Told my mom I wanted my hair bleached. And she said, "You're blonde. What do you mean?" I said, "I want it like this." And I showed her a picture of Vince Neil from the Shout at the Devil album. And she said, "That's burned." I said, "I want my hair burned." You know, and I said, "How do I get it like that?" And she said, "With bleach." So I went in the basement and went by the washing machine, and there was a gallon of bleach.
Yeah.
And I said, "Like this?" And she said, "You can't pour that on your hair," you know. So then, little by little, I started using my girlfriend's Sun-In. You spray that stuff when you go to the beach, that little spray stuff, and it would lighten it even more. But from there, it was just off to the races. I became obsessed with everything Motley Crue related, and soon after Rat and Black and Blue and all that other stuff. But that was the catalyst. That concert completely changed my trajectory in life.
You moved to LA in 87.
87.
87, is it kind of universally acknowledged that Motley Crue is the start of what we would call hair metal, or do people do like maybe it's Van Halen? I've
I would
always said
say
it started with Motley.
Yeah, you could say that because Van Halen was obviously a few years earlier, 3 years
Yep.
earlier. 78 is when the debut came out. But they were already playing the Strip, you know, 74, 75, whatever. There was other bands on the Strip.
And they weren't doing makeup and all that shit.
Yeah, but Motley was you know, very much picked up where Kiss left off, because by then
Yeah.
Kiss was getting ready to stop to drop the makeup, you know, and yeah, I mean they had an impact, and they were the perfect band for the perfect time. I mean, Too Fast for Love 81, Shout at the Devil 83, Theater of Pain 85, Girls 87, Feel Good 89. 5 records, all in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, they came up on the Strip, and, you know, the names, Nikki Sixx, you know, Mick Mars,
Yeah.
you know, they had the look, the sound, the Blood Sessions, which you noted earlier. Those were done by Zlozauer, you know, just so many things had such an impact. And to know that I had an impact on a smaller percentage, a much smaller percentage, like this guy right here, you know, Wednesday, seeing the photos of us in Rock Scene or Kerrang or Rock on the Rise and saying, "Wow, who's that?"
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of what I thought, you know, with the Motley thing. And it was life changing for sure, because if I didn't go to that concert, who knows where I would have ended up? Maybe a professional skateboarder, long retired, you know, but
Right.
here I am 40 some years later.
And Wednesday we'll have Wednesday go, and then I thought maybe we'd kind of talk a little bit about the split up in '92 and what you thought of Karabi coming in. But Wednesday, like what's your history with getting into Motley Crue?
Again, had MTV. So I remember seeing Smoking in the Boys' Room would be the first video, because I don't think there was much. I mean, no, I take it back. I did see. I know I saw
Looks That Kill.
Looks That Kill, but I really remember my brain's focusing on Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Yeah.
It was probably the time
Yeah.
I was maybe actually paying attention and getting into music.
Right.
So I said, my brother, you know, my brother, which is crazy because we're not even remotely close now, but we used to be like this. Like I was just, you know, hey, what is this? You know, and I listened to him, and he explained Motley Crue to me. He let me hear Shout at the Devil. He had the album cover on the wall with the pentagram, which I didn't even know what that even meant. And my mom came in and yelled at him, and I knew that was bad, and I went, "Ooh, she hates that, so that's got to be something bad." So of course I was drawn to it. And so what he did is he just, because you remember the gatefold is the picture of them.
Yep.
So he just had a thumbtack. So whenever he would close the door and lock my mom out, he'd pin it back with the pentagram. But when he would go to school, he would just open it and it'd be the four of them.
Yeah.
So he had that over his window, and he had a Kiss Destroyer puzzle that he had glued. It was a puzzle that he had glued to a piece of cardboard and made a poster. And I would just stare at both of those. I was obsessed with both of the bands.
Right.
But Kiss wasn't really doing the makeup. It was all this what they used to do. Where Motley Crue was the new. It was like what Stevie said. They picked up where Kiss left off, in my mind. Because it was just so either way, that was my first take in them. I remember hearing Girls, 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 or mainly I remember hearing Wild Side first. And still, if you go back and listen to that sound, like that is just a mean, tough song. Like it doesn't age. At least I don't feel like it does. They sounded like no other band then. It was almost kind of like people had started catching up with Motley Crue around Theater of Pain, and people were doing similar stuff. But Girls, Girls, Girls came back and kicked them in the dick, and it was like, yeah, try this, try Wild Side. Yeah, nobody wrote songs like that. And then Girls, Girls, Girls is a cool song, but Wild Side is the gem, I think, on that record. And
totally.
And then they did it, and they did it again on Feel Good with Kickstart My Heart. Like that is an anthem that gets anybody going. It's just, race car events, anything. It's again, I'm a Motley fan. So either way, my first concert with Motley is Dr. Feelgood, and that's my first concert ever. My brother, like I said, he explained everything to me. He explained Too Fast for Love, why it didn't sound like the other records, but why he preferred it over them. So I kind of had to like it anyway. So I loved all the records up to that point. So excited for Dr. Feelgood. And my brother takes me to the concert. But first we had to go get the tickets. And that was like going to a concert back in the day. You had to get to the mall at 6 in the morning and wait in line.
Wait in line with a bunch of people?
With 300 people that just, rock and roll kids. And I'd never been exposed to that. I loved it. I felt like I found my place. Just getting the ticket. And then when I get to the concert, it just blew my mind. Warrant was the opening band.
Oh yeah.
And it was them when they had the whole solid white outfit. It was right when Heaven had just came out. And I had that cassette too, and I loved that record. Still love that record. And to see Warrant, I was just blown away. Like, oh shit, this is amazing. Because they were doing the cool choreographed tricks. They got on each other's shoulders.
Totally.
You couldn't fuck with them, during that time. But unless you were Motley Crue. And Motley Crue, I remember just the intro for Dr. Feelgood, or that tour was the laser lights, and they had Alistair feet in the ceiling. And dude, it just felt like I went to another world. And just goosebumps, and feeling that the energy in that place, I instantly was like, I want to do this.
Right.
I want to do this. And so the concert was awesome. And I just, like I said, I was a fan, going into that concert. And came out even a bigger fan. And I followed Motley Crue from when I said the beginning to now. I'm still following them. I'm still a fan. Like Stevie and I just went and saw The Dirt, and it was followed by the Uncensored thing, and I'm so glad we went and saw that, because I felt like I became a fan of them again after seeing that.
This is very cool. This is my original right here. I still got it.
No shit.
Here's the original fan club thing inside it.
Wow.
Here's the original lyric sheet. And the sleeve itself was starting to get tattered, so I put masking tape on it. And this thing, man, I can't even tell you how many times I played this. I probably played this 5,000 times. And
That's
of
crazy.
course, The full catalog. There's Too Fast for Love. This is not an original. That's a reissue. The
I'll be
Theater
right
of
back, guys. I
Pain.
gotta go to the
Yep.
bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Do
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
There's the girls, 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 and of course at some point, we put out Decadation, which we were going for the Motley look at this time, as you can
Of
see.
course.
This is
Of
very
course.
Motley. This is also done by Niels Lozauer,
Yeah.
and if you've noticed that famous garage door that's in his studio,
Right.
there's a lot of bands that have done shots in front of that, and this was Decadation. But yeah, the Shout at the Devil record was the record that changed
Yeah.
my complete trajectory in life 100%.
And their image, I mean, it's changed a lot. If you
Yep.
look at Too Fast for Love, the image they had then, and then Shout at the Devil, and then it goes really glam on Theater of Pain.
Yep.
And then in 87, Girls, Girls, Girls comes out before Appetite for Destruction. And then they're doing the leather biker look before Guns N' Roses. So they were kind of leading the pack that entire decade. And then obviously Dr. Feelgood goes on to be a #1 album and sells over 6 million copies. And I kind of want to get Wednesday back in here. Oh, here comes Wednesday. And we were
I
just
got attacked by toys going out of my room.
hell,
I have
hell yeah.
these alien figures attack me. Look at that.
Oh no.
They fell off my wall. It's going out. What did I miss? Sorry,
Well,
guys. I had
no.
coffee before we started, and it's running through me.
No problem. We were just kind of talking about how like their image changed from Too Fast for Love to
Yes.
Shout to the really glam image of Theater, and then they went leather and biker before Guns N' Roses because Girls, Girls, Girls came out before Appetite. And so they were kind of leading that whole pick, or the whole flock, which leads to a #1 album with Dr. Feelgood. But then the 90s come, and Motley Crue is one of the biggest bands in the world. And we were just talking about this we reviewed Vince Neil Exposed, and we talked about the breakup. Motley Crue was the first time I remember a favorite band of mine breaking up. And they were massive when it happened. Like, what do you guys, Stevie, you were there in LA. What do you guys remember about the breakup? And did you take a side in the breakup?
I feel like I did. Definitely took a side, but go ahead, Stevie.
Not only was I there, but for anybody playing along at home, if you recall, I was actually one of the guys that was named in that special issue Motley magazine that came out. And they started saying it was, they used to publish Rip, Circus, Hit Parader, but then they'd have those offshoot magazines where it'd be like a pictorial on Poison or special on just Bon Jovi or just Motley Crue. When Vince had left or got fired, whichever way you want to look at it, there was a specialty magazine that came out, Motley Crue, the future, what next? And it was a picture of them on the cover, but it was like, what's going to happen? Then within the magazine was a whole history of the band, and then there was, an extended section that was like, who is going to be the next guy? So in that section was a picture of Mike Tramp. There was Sebastian, Steven Chirot from Kick Tracy, of course, John Corabi. And I think it was like the second page in, because it was about a 6 or 8 page feature. My picture appeared, Stevie Rachelle. And then there was some little commentary which said something like, we say to Poison or something like that, the editors. And they mentioned, a half a dozen guys from various select 80s bands as to who could replace or might be, in the fans' perspective, a possible replacement for Vince. So for me, growing up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and seeing that show on March 8th, listening to that record and all of those records, and then at some point becoming the singer of Tough, and then having my picture and appear in that magazine as even if it was through the editors that picked that, being one of a handful of guys, it was a pretty neat thing, And I do remember being at FM station one night after John's name had been circulated quite heavily. And I had known John since the day after I moved here. So I looked at him and I said, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And he goes, "Future's looking pretty bright, buddy. Future's looking pretty bright, you know." And I was like,
Right.
"John, let me shake your hand. Congratulations." And at that point, it wasn't public record, or it wasn't announced, and there was no internet, obviously. But living in LA, the rumors had circulated that John was rehearsing with them, and at that point, probably was about to be announced. So that was a pretty amazing period. And I didn't really have a side. I just thought it was like, okay, what's going to happen? It was like when Van Halen split with Dave and then Sammy came in. So we're all just kind of at that point just we're watching and listening.
Right. Right. Wednesday, what do you remember about the breakup? What do you think?
Oh, I remember. Well, I remember. First off, Motley Crue was. They were one of my. They were still one of my favorite bands at that time. So when Decade of Decadence came out, I loved that. I loved all the I loved all the new tracks on that. I thought it was awesome. That song Angela's, right? That's on Decade of Decadence, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, Angela's on there,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
That, and I thought that was cool.
Primal Scream.
Primal Scream. That's
Oh,
another
yeah.
amazing Motley Crue. That's
Yes.
another one that they set above all those other bands. And went,
Yes.
that I feel like write a song like that. Like Motley
Yes.
Crue always had a fucking ace in their pocket.
Yeah.
Always, always. But the breakup. So you know, I discovered the Scream. And
Right.
I
Yep.
fucking loved it the way they
Yep.
loved it.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I had pictures of the Scream, any pinup that was in Metal Edge or I could get my hands on. They had the Scream, and there was one particular one, and John Corabi had a lip ring, which is why I
Yep.
have a lip
Yeah.
ring.
Right.
I had to have one because he had one, and I
Right.
eventually got one later on. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I have a fucking lip ring because of this album, and I had this out ready to go because it's autographed. It's when I met Motley Crue for the first time. So that's Nikki and Mick and Tommy on the front, and I'd met John earlier in the day, and he signed the inside.
Okay.
What does this CD look like?
It's terrible, and I think it has like some tape residue that got peeled it off. But either way, it wasn't a
Okay,
great
so
picture.
that's
It's,
Nikki's crew ring, right?
which is yes, what you can see here, which is that,
Mm-hmm.
Which,
which is yes,
as you can see, that was also borrowed from
Yep.
the Tough Ring. I stole
Yep.
the idea from Ice-T because I saw Ice-T, the rapper, had that, and I made the Tough Ring in '90. The
right.
actual Tough Ring, and then at some point Nikki had 4 rings made separately, CRUE, and he wore them in
Oh,
a couple photo shoots. That was 90. What 90? When did that record come
four.
out?
That was
94.
94.
Yeah.
94.
It's just most people call it the 94 record.
Yeah.
I remember
So I
almost crashing my car in the back of somebody because I was looking down, reading the name of a song, and I almost like fucking rear-ended somebody in
So
my first year of driving. I was like, "Fuck!"
Wednesday, and maybe I missed it, but did you pick a side? Because
Yes,
like
yes.
Vince was kind of kicked out, or yeah, go ahead.
I picked a side because I was young and I was
Mhm.
just and my buddy Crazy Eddie. We kind of follow each other lead, and he was he was kind of like what we do here. We sit here and talk about gossip about stuff, and
right.
and
Yep.
uh, and he was like, I don't know, man. I really like the Scream. I think Motley Crue's gonna be even better with this guy. We don't need Vince Neil. Yeah, we don't need him. And so I just kind of went with with that, and I love the
Right.
Scream.
Yep.
And but Vince beat them to the thing before they even put a record out, and he had "You're invited, but your friend can't come."
Yep.
And immediately, I thought the band looked awesome. I was like, "Is that Christy Crash Majors? Is that Christy Crash?" Because I don't
Steve
know who that dude was
Stevens.
playing guitar, but I thought it was Christy.
It's Mickey Lord from the Glamour Punks.
Okay, so
That was Mickey Lord from the Glamour Punks,
so
and
the band looked great, and then you had Vicky Fox in his band, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't
Swirling.
know,
Yeah.
this is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then they get Steve Stevens, and you're like, this is pretty cool. I was a big Atomic Playboys fan,
Yep.
uh, plus Billy Idol and everything. So it was just, and he looked cool as fuck too, man. He was Nikki Sixx with a guitar.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But still, when I heard the '94 record, I loved it. I was, it was, I don't know what I expected, but I was just into it, and I still go back and listen to it, and I still like it as much as I did then. I think it's aged well. There's great songs. Was it the right move for Motley Crue in their career?
Right.
I think they'll
Right.
tell you probably not.
Right.
But
Right.
but I was such a fan of them. It didn't steer me off, and I met them on that tour. I saw them live on that tour. Typo Negative was the opening band.
That's right.
And I went there as a fan of Typo Negative and got to see Motley Crue. And I wish I would have appreciated King's X the way I do now, because they were the other band on it. I really like them now. I just wasn't my thing.
Right.
But that was the package, and there was probably 1,500 people there at that amphitheater, and that was not good. And me and my girlfriend got in through her father through a merch pass for the venue, so we got backstage passes. And
Badass.
so that's where I met them, and I had a brief conversation with Nikki, and just
At
hey, how
that
you
time,
doing? Oh my God, you're
at that time, you had a brief conversation as a young fan.
yeah. We got
Where did you?
backstage.
So backstage this was.
Yeah, so basically they put a bunch of people in the backstage area for the after party, and we're like, wow, we got in here, cool. Nobody's kicking us out. This was awesome. We had a pass, but we shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And Tommy Lee comes in and turns on rap music, and it just killed the vibe.
Right.
Like
Was there a
nobody,
lot
it
of,
was so loud, and everybody was just kind of like, "What the fuck? Why aren't we listening? Why aren't we rocking out the Scorpions or something?" Like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it didn't. It felt weird, and it was so uncomfortably loud, which could have been the whole reason to get people the fuck out of there. But I
right?
think it worked.
What was the attendance at that show? I mean, was it one of the ones that was lower
Yeah,
attended?
definitely. I mean, I wouldn't know how to even judge a number of
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like thinking back
Right.
to it now, I don't. In my mind, it felt huge,
Right.
but I'm sure it wasn't what they
But it wasn't
wanted.
sold out. There was
No,
maybe a,
no,
a
no,
lot of
not.
available space. Okay.
Yeah, and I hung out backstage and behind the stage the whole show, so I didn't really get to see it from that side. Really, maybe that's why it seemed so big to me.
Right.
But
Right.
John Corabi was awesome, and I got him to sign my Scream stuff and as well, and he kept coming back and forth to the bus, and we kept, just like teenage kids. Hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm walking in here. That's cool. Come back out. Hey,
Right.
hey, where are you going? To the bus. Cool. All right. Man, he's cool. And then but we didn't
Right.
see anybody else. We met Peter Steele, a Typo Negative, but and he was all the band and Typo were super cool. And but we met, after the show, Tommy turns the radio up. Uh, Mick comes in, people run over to him, he's talking to him, and then Nikki kind of comes in around the same time, and we had to get out of there. We were, I think we had school the next day or something, and we had to, so we run up there immediately to Nikki and just, hey, how you doing? Oh, you're my favorite. And I think I said something about, because he was into like the Stooges and stuff, and I had just kind of discovered the Stooges, and I went, when are you guys going to cover a Stooges song? And he kind of looked at me like, how the fuck do you know who the Stooges are?
Right. Right.
And I literally was of my conversation with Nikki Sixx, and I went home. I was super happy. I got to meet Motley Crue, and I liked that record even better. And I was bummed that it wasn't as big to the
Yeah.
world as it was to me.
I took Vince's side right away because I felt like, oh, they kicked him out. And if you remember, he did who was the Dennis Miller show
Yeah, I just watched
right
that
after
recently. Yeah,
right after he got kicked out, and he was like, I don't know, and he came off so likable. And I'm like, well, fuck those guys for getting rid of Vince. And then I loved You're Invited, but Your Friend Can't Come. I was like, this is fucking as good as a lot of Motley Crue stuff.
Do you remember in that feud that when Motley Crue did that interview? I have it on a VHS somewhere. But the reason, like, picking sides, because I remember Motley
Yep.
Crue was making fun of Vince.
Yes.
Because they
You're
said you're invited, but
You're
you weigh a
invited.
ton. But you
Yes, and
yes.
weigh a ton.
that was on MTV News, and
Yep.
what they said was Vince Neil had like some surfing accident,
Yes.
and they said, "Oh, you may not know this, but your former lead singer had an accident on a surfing accident or a skiing accident."
A
Yep.
jet ski. A jet ski, I
Yeah,
think
Yeah.
maybe it
yeah.
was.
I'm sorry, I'm not a water guy.
Yeah, it's all
Um,
good.
obviously. And they said, "You have any thoughts about that?" And Mick Mars goes, I'm more worried about the coral reef."
Yeah.
And then
And
he goes,
and
"You're invited, but you weigh a ton."
and
Yeah.
Nikki said, well, what's it like when 300 pounds of blubber
Blubber. Yeah.
go into the coral
Yeah,
reef? And
yeah,
and then, yeah.
yeah.
So, I
So I
mean,
remember having this on VHS and watching it, and so you couldn't help but, like, in my mind as a kid, like,
yes.
pick a side. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go with Motley Crue," because I don't know why I didn't side with the
Yeah.
Vince thing. I didn't hate it, but I
Right.
wasn't anywhere into it as much as I was the Karabi thing. Because I said I was had I not been a fan of the Scream, I may have a completely different opinion of that whole album. I may think it's like most people think it's not Motley Crue.
But I like when Exposed came out, I was like, finally, at least somebody is just doing what they've always done
Right.
instead of changing with the times. So I
Right.
was big on Exposed. And then when I hear the 94 album, I'm like, and this changes, but I was like, what the fuck did you guys do? This doesn't sound like the natural continuation of the Scream and maybe Primal Scream. But a couple of years later, I finally listened to the 94 album again and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, this is fucking great. So I said the other day, I said, if a fan of 80s Crew said, where should I go? Exposed or 94? I would say, look, you should probably listen to Exposed because it's the most like 80s Crew. But what
Yes.
do I listen to more now? The 94 record over Exposed.
Yeah.
So,
I have a different opinion on that record too. Like I said, it may not. This is just my opinion. It's not believe what I say. This is how it is.
believe what he
Dur-
says.
during that time, I was in a band and I was experimenting with our sound. And
Yep.
around that time, Typo Negative, I loved them. That's why when they opened for Motley Crue, that was a double banger for me. I was like, awesome. I love Typo Negative. White Zombie had just came out that year too. And I
Yep.
love that Les Exorcisto album, which is maybe answered your question why I went in a heavier direction, because
Exactly.
that's what I sound like. It's in
Yep.
that world. So when Motley did a heavier thing, it felt, for me, I was like, whoa, this is cool, because a lot of people will tell you musicianship wise on that record, Tommy Lee is a John Bonham on that. He is that drumming on that record is
Yeah.
Yes.
amazing on that record.
Yep.
And it just, Motley had a fire underneath them. It's just unfortunate that it didn't land with the fans. That's not what they wanted in Motley Crue, But being a
Yeah.
diehard like I was, young kid experimenting with music myself, I can see why it worked for me, but I understand why it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to get into maybe them getting back together, Generation Swine, and we'll kind of build up to the end and what we think is going on now. I'd like to get to a couple more of these chats just
Let's
to
do
get
it.
people who super chat. Thank you so much. Hobo Raider says, I think Johnny Winter is the true hair metal king. Well, he definitely had the blonde hair. That is true. So thank you for the super chat, and you guys can chime in on anything that you want. I'm going to get to the next one. Joe, hey Wednesday, would you and Ryan, you and Ryan, my old roommate Dizzy, ever consider releasing the old reject stuff and Harry Mary's videos on F&A Records?
Um, I don't have I don't have access to any of that stuff, and I don't know if that's something that Joey's family has with the state or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I was a part of two reject shows with Dizzy, where I was the bass player, and before it turned into Murder Dolls, and I became the vocalist. So it was just a crazy time. I would love everybody to be able to get a hold of something they want. I don't think it's something that's going to be mass produced. I don't know who would want to release that exactly, because I don't know
Right.
who's going to buy it. But again,
Right.
it's not anything. It's kind of out of my hands. But if it comes out, awesome. I hope so.
Okay. We got 455 people watching. We got Wednesday
Damn.
13 here. Holy shit. This is awesome.
I
I
think
got
it
a
was
couple
close
more.
to four. It was pushing 470. I know it was
It
in the
was.
460s. So
It
thanks for
was.
everybody tuning in and hanging around.
Yes.
I
Lisa,
found
go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
found some.
Wednesday.
I had a couple of. I have a magazine rack here, but I found a
Excellent.
Hell
couple.
yeah.
Check out these. Some fans brought me this on the last tour because I said I
Oh,
wanted. I said I wanted
I
some magazines. I don't have any of my stuff from what I
I
want.
had I had that when it came out way back when.
You know, I don't know if this is the one, but there was a, maybe it's in here. I don't know, but there was a fold out pinup that I hid behind my door that Mick Mars had a guitar and it said "I love pussy" on it.
Mm-hmm.
right.
And I had it hidden kind of behind my door and a bunch of other pinups. Like my mom would never look in that and read that.
Right.
Right.
And I remember my nephew came in and he could read, and he was there with my mom one day, and he said, "Uncle Joe, what is I love pussy?"
Hey, I still
Oh, I
do, if you
got
know
I
what I'm
got busted.
saying.
Mom goes,
Anyway.
"What is that?" I went, "What? I'm blind." And it's played dumb, but
Lisa Burney Pilson, who was married to Jeff Pilson, has just put out a book. We are going to be doing an interview here, Lisa. I hope I get to meet you in California.
Awesome.
I have that sitting right over here.
look
That
at that.
exact
The West
shit.
Coast metal explosion. Look at that.
Yep.
I
You
have
got
like a
autograph on the
fuck.
back.
Hell yeah. I have like a
What just happened
1,000.
here?
Did we just become best friends?
What
Anyway, I'm
just
just kidding.
happened here? You like
Um,
guacamole?
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's get to a couple more of these, then we'll get moving on. Sorry if I'm rushing. I'm just trying to get people to where we need to be. We got two more super chats, and then we'll get into the Motley Crue getting back together. Jordan Skoll, Mick was a grandpa in 1994 with a weird Japanese goatee. Vince was still cool. Okay, all
I
right,
thought he looked cool as hell in that interview I know exactly what you're talking about. I tried that look. It didn't
right,
no, nobody else liked it but me. But
right.
do you guys remember when he did that look where he had that,
Yes,
I do.
and it was the VH1 behind the music.
yes, yes. That's right.
He looked like the devil. I loved it. Mick Mars
Yeah,
has always been
yeah,
cousin it to me. He's been the
right.
Adams family member. He should have been. He is an Adams family member. He'd fit perfectly in that house. He's a character. And yeah, that was. I forgot where I was going with this whole thing. I was just started thinking about Mick Mars being in the Adams family. My brain went off in
We
a
were
whole other
talking about
world.
his look when he looked like that fucking
Yeah, but yeah, he,
Japanese.
he had
Yeah,
that look, and he had the little mustache, and he kind of had like the Fu Manchu, and I thought he looked awesome. I tried that
right,
look one winter, and it lasted for about a day. The ladies
I
like,
only
right.
met
get out of
I
here.
only met I only met Mick one time. It was outside Guitar Center. He was in that red Corvette that we saw him driving in that home video. He was
Right.
with Emmy Canyon, who at some point was one of the Nasty Habits, a backup singer that he was married to.
That's
And he
right.
was getting out of his red Corvette in the Guitar Center parking lot. I think it was me and Michael Lean, and we went up to him and said hi. Probably handed him a flyer because we always had flyers, and he was cool. That was my one and only run-in with Mick, but he was a cool guy. He was very nice. And Emmy
Awesome.
Canyon has since passed away some years ago.
Okay.
Rest in peace to her. Patrick
Yeah.
Reeves.
Patrick Reeves, who does so much for the channel, and he always super chats. And dude, thank you, unbelievable.
Thank you.
But this is a great question for you guys. Curious about how Stevie and Wednesday feel about the experimentation that Motley dabbled with on Swine, and whether or not you saw it as hopping trends, or whether you thought Nikki and Tommy were being genuine with it. Wednesday, what do you think? Generation Swine.
I love that record. I did. I was a fan of it. I was there
Okay.
when the record store opened, and I went in and got it that day. I was excited for Motley Crue to be back because they hadn't did anything, and I thought,
Yep.
and always again, Nicky is just the master of looking cool. He looked cool around that time. He had his hair done shorter, but he still looked cool. Had those big bug glasses, which I'm guilty of stealing that look from him as well. But he looked cool to me, and I was excited for it. And they came back, and the first thing you heard was "Shout at the Devil" '97. I was like, "Fuck yes!" It was just like a new, thicker, meaner version of it, and so I thought it was a perfect way to get people interested in the band again. And then they put out "Afraid," and
Yep.
I think that's a killer song.
I love that song.
I think that bass line is awesome. It's a cool
Yep.
song. I don't hear it the way some people hear it. Again, I was such a fan of Motley Crue. You know what I mean? Like I can understand where it didn't work, but for me, it worked, and I liked it. Every song on that record's pretty cool. I even like the song that Nicky sings, the weird acoustic track that he did. I thought that was cool. I just, I could do without the Brandon song.
Come on, Stevie, you like Brandon. I know you did.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So, but I was a fan. That was the only tour that I didn't see from Dr. Feelgood on, I believe, that came through like North Carolina, like because my first band was actually touring when they played. It was like them and Cheap Trick, I believe.
Wednesday, let me ask you this, and then we'll go to Stevie. You loved the '94 record. You're a huge fan of the Scream. Were you in a way disappointed when Vince came back, or were you like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be?
I think at that point I realized that wasn't working for Motley
Yeah.
Crue, and I just,
Right.
Yep.
you want it to go back to what it worked with Karabi. I think that's a cool thing, but it's not right without
Yep.
Vince.
Yep.
It's hard to replace a front guy. It really is. I mean, there's other guys that'll come and go, but like they know Vince is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to be the same, and that's why maybe they've never ever replaced him since then. I mean, Nikki Sixx is the only guy in Motley Crue that's ever been in there the entire time.
The entire time.
Yep.
Everybody else has been in and out. Some people don't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, he's the unquestioned leader of that band. I mean, if you're somebody like us, you probably know
Yeah.
that. But so Stevie,
yeah,
go
for
ahead.
me, it's just always Nikki's the leader of that band, like
Yep.
you just said, and I always went where Nikki went. I was
Yeah.
such a fan of him, and I'm still a fan of him.
Okay, Stevie, what did you
100%.
think when they got back together and the Generation Swine thing?
I was so far, I guess, into whatever I was doing with my bands. It's not like I stopped being a fan, but I think I stopped being fanatical of sorts. Like in the 80s, I was obsessed with those bands, but I was also very driven to do my own thing. If it came down to doing something for my band or going to see this other band in concert, I would focus on me before I'd be focusing on being a fan in the crowd. I didn't not go to concerts because I didn't want to go. I felt like I was driving my own thing, So when they got back together there, I couldn't even tell you what was on that record. I do remember looking at it and I thought, well, Nikki must have seen the Pariah album cover at some point with the pig heads,
Right.
And there's stuff that he stole along the way. I think, I think he stole the ring idea or borrowed it from me. I think Hooligan's Holiday came from the band Hooligan Stew that was playing on the Strip. I think at some point the Theater of Pain look that they kind of adopted was partially Hanoi Rocks, partially what was going on the Strip. And I will say this, going all the way back, and I was going to say this when Wednesday went to the bathroom, Nicky's always been the genius in that band. 100%. I remember reading an interview when I got in the band, 87 or 88. Me and Michael went to BAM magazine. We used to go there to the offices, and they let us go into their stock room where they had all these old magazines, BAMs, from 80, 81, 82, 83, when all those bands were local. And there was a magazine from 82 or 83. It was an interview with Nikki Sixx. Technically, he was still a local guy, even though Shouted, Too Fast for Love had come out, and maybe Shout at the Devil was about to come out. But in his interview, he talked about all these ideas he had for a happy face, sad face theater plan idea, which the way he worded it was part of what you read in there was what became Theater of Pain. Then he talked about motorcycles and jean jackets, which became Girls, Girls, Girls. Like he predicted, he had all this planned for years, and he was always ahead of a curve, so to speak, obviously borrowing from Kiss. And I think him and Blackie Lawless were looking at Alice Cooper and Kiss and saying, okay, well, they're from the 70s and eventually they're going to fade out. We're just going to reinvent that a little bit and switch our vibe just a little bit with the makeup and the look. But Nicky was always there, always ahead. And like you said, he's been there the whole time. They've had a couple different drummers. They had replaced Vince, which didn't work.
He's the lyricist. He writes the lyrics.
Yeah. He writes the lyrics. He's
Everything.
the brainchild. He's the brainchild without a doubt. Tommy went into his rap vibe for a while, disappeared and didn't play. They had a couple different drummers. Randy Castillo, rest in peace. I think Samantha Maloney from Hole played some tours. Now they got John filling in for Mick, which whether they had a falling out with Mick or not, it's irrelevant. Mick was done at some point. He wasn't going to be able to do this. He wanted to step away. I think the way that they did it turned a little ugly. Not that he was forced out, because I don't think he was forced out. I think Mick was happy to step aside. But when they said, oh, and by the way, we're going to take your cut and you're going to only get this much of it. That's what in turn caused the lawsuit and then created a bigger divide for some of the Motley fans. And and then Vince had strokes. Now here we are. It's a little messy in some ways, but without Motley Crue, I probably don't exist. Wednesday might not exist to the level he does, and a whole lot of the others. So I give them a respect that way.
Yeah, they're single. I mean, like when I think back, like they're the bands, one of the main bands that I do what I do. I still look like I do, like I do. Like when we saw the Uncensored video at the theater, I hadn't seen that in forever. You probably hadn't seen it in forever either. And it was just so cool to see how I remember seeing that as a kid and just going,
I remember every scene just replayed. I knew exactly what was happening.
It was awesome, but just to see it again and just go, man, they were so fucking cool. Nobody was like them. It's just, like I said, it made me a fan of them again, all over again. The same way I have with Kiss. Sometimes I get burnt out on Kiss and I ain't listened to it for a while. And then I'm into it again and I'm just listening to it nonstop. So, but like also Nikki Sixx, when you, not going in a different subject, but like I've said this before too, like a lot of people give him shit for being an average bass player or not playing or whatever. That he gets beat up a lot in the press through people that, but name another bass player with that look that has influenced people. I mean, like there's a Nikki Sixx in every goddamn town in America. In every town, there is one Nikki Sixx. That he's either the skinny one or he's the bigger Nikki Sixx. But they got the patch. They got the hair. If they're in a band, they're playing a Thunderbird. And I'm telling you, he's influenced more than just people playing bass. Like a look. That guy's an iconic dude. That's just
100%.
Yeah.
Stevie said
100%.
he had the vision. He was the visionary. He was so far ahead of everybody for so many years, and that band was so far ahead of everybody. And he's writing all the songs. Not only
Yep.
is he the visionary, he's writing all the songs. So say what you will, but the guy is responsible for a lot of shit that we love. I want to get through a couple more of these comments because then I'd like us to wrap up maybe with what you think about what is going on with Motley Crue now and what you see as the future for Motley Crue. And Wednesday horror fanatic
Yes.
3987 says hope to see you at Mad Monster Concord as a fellow NC Ghoul.
Yes, I'm going to be there. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but maybe I just announced it right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Oops.
Oops. And
Something
Wednesday.
else.
I'll see you there.
Something else they did, which no other band really did at any point. They literally changed the logo on every record.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Kiss has always had the same logo. Rat has always had the same logo. Van Halen, for the most part, has that significant VH. But
Yeah.
they created a different logo and a different image and a different theme with every one of those. Especially when you say about Generation Swine, I wasn't really paying attention in the 90s as much, or 2000s. Same with Poison, Holly Weird, whatever, Crack a Smile. I didn't really pay attention to those records. The ones in
Right.
the 80s are the ones that they kept the same logo. Obviously,
Yeah.
they lost the lime green on Native Tongue, but
Yeah.
Nicky was without a doubt he's genius, brilliant, and he obviously took so many elements of whatever the 80s offered, from MTV to the band, the image, everything was just iconic in some ways, and it was huge.
Mike Crawford says Motley 94 has the best drum sound I ever heard. Poison Apples is such a great song. That's probably my favorite rock song on the record.
I like
And
Smoke the
absolutely.
Smoke the
Smoke the
Sky
Sky.
is an excellent one too.
Great
Yeah.
riff.
Yes. And then we got one more. Dixie Wrecked. Stevie, would you be down for a boxing match with Sebastian on the Monsters of Rock cruise?
Well, that's silly, but if there's money involved, I'll do it.
Right? And Wednesday 13 will be at the Monsters of Rock cruise
Yes.
in 2027. And so will
Exciting.
this guy for his first ever cruise. So fucking can't wait for that. We only have a little bit of time left, but I think we should just finish with, like, what do you think? I did a video. I legitimately feel bad that I was pretty hard on Vince, but I said it was a rough performance. Hey, Motley Crue can go out and play, and I have no problem with people going, but I just didn't think it looked like he was having fun. Where are you guys at with Motley Crue now? What do you think is the future for Motley Crue, if there is one at all, after this tour of this summer? Stevie, you want to start us off?
I mean, it's like Jim Dandy recently played the Rainbow Party, and I saw some videos of it, and a lot of people are, and I've seen videos of him before. I don't know how old Jim Dandy is. He's got to be well into his 70s, if not 80. That dude was David Lee Roth before David Lee Roth.
Yep. Yep.
And hey, I'm 60 years old right now. My body's starting to fall apart, maybe not as badly as some others. My hair fell apart a while ago, thank God they make hats. But, we all get old, and we have an expiration date, a prime. It's like watching football players. Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls, or Brett Favre, and at some point you're looking at him limping off the field and thinking, dude, it's done. Go and take a break. Let someone else come in. And Motley's at a point where they're getting old. I mean, Nicky was born in 1958. He's going to be 68 years old this December. He's 2 years away from 70. Mick's even older. Vince is in his 60s, had a couple strokes.
He's 65. I looked it up. He's 65.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just, everybody, even Bret Michaels is starting to look old. You know,
I
everybody's
watched a
getting
video
old.
of him today, and it's just crazy seeing these guys one way in your mind, and then seeing what it is now, and your brain's computing it. You're like,
Right.
what? Nobody wants to see
Yeah,
their heroes. It would be like a Spider-Man comic, and the Spider-Man looking like, Homer Simpson. You'd be like, what?
Right.
What's going on? That's not my Spider-Man. And as a fan, and you don't want that memory to fade, because it
Of
almost kind of
course.
makes you go, hey, what's happening? Am I getting
Yep.
close here? What's happening?
Yep.
yeah.
Dude,
So at this point, Motley Crue is at a point where they're going to do what they do. They still can sell some tickets.
yeah.
They're not the band they once were. Father Time is undefeated, and whether or not 2026 is their last year of touring, who knows? But it's winding down. Mick is gone. Nikki's getting older. Vince is falling apart. Tommy is still youthful and has a lot of the energy. He's still wearing two different colored sneakers, you know. But at some point, Motley Crue won't be a Motley Crue anymore. Just like Kiss won't be there anymore. It's
Yeah.
all the more reason why it's amazing that Alice Cooper is out there. How old is Alice Cooper Wednesday?
Alex is,
70.
I think he's
Go ahead.
78, maybe.
He's like
Wow.
right around there. I was going to say
He's got to
76,
be.
but
My
he's
my
right
dad
around
just
there.
turned 80, and I think he's a couple years younger than my
Still
dad.
commanding the stage. All the
And
respect.
look at the fucking Rolling Stones are
Yeah.
80. I
Right.
mean, some people are immune to aging, and
Right.
like Wednesday 13, and some people aren't. I mean, Sammy Hagar, it's starting to, but he still sounds pretty good. And
Right.
Yeah.
Vince is a little bit rougher. Maybe it'll get better this summer. I don't know, but
Here's
I
I was thinking
go
about
ahead.
this too. I was thinking, like thinking about all the people, like Vince Neil. Like, look at I think you said the Mount Rushmore of rock, Stevie. That was one of your terms you used or whatever
Yep.
for
Yep.
vocalists.
Right.
So let's name the Mount Rushmore of rock. If you've got Vince, you got
Mhm.
Paul Stanley or Don Dokken, Axl Rose,
David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth, Brett Michaels,
Piercy,
Stephen Pearcy,
John Bon
uh,
Jovi.
John Bon Jovi. Okay,
Yep.
there's 8 people. Now look at every single one of those vocalists, and are
Yeah.
any of them, are they any better? Are they any worse?
Right.
All of them are not where they were in our
Of
fan,
course.
Right.
in the mind of being a fan.
Right. Right.
I think watching these videos that we all see on YouTube, I don't think it's a fair thing to judge a band. And I
Yeah.
only say that because I'm guilty of watching my band after a show and seeing if we suck or not. And I go, man, that
Right.
sounds like shit. And I know we did not sound like that.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just sometimes it's not picking up what you feel.
Right.
I've watched a ton of Sebastian Bach videos with his new band, for example, because I don't go to a lot of shows, but I was in Australia recently, and Sebastian was playing the night I had a night off, and I got to go, and I'd watched videos, and I thought they were good, but it blew me away how fucking badass he sounded,
Right.
and his
Live.
band sounded, and his energy, and it was
Yeah.
just sold out, beautiful place in Australia. It was just like you felt the vibe, and
Right.
I'm like, man, I was like, I'm gonna quit watching fucking videos because that is not the
Right.
justice of that, But it is hard not to watch Vince, like the video you posted. I watched some videos. But I also know this too, being a vocalist, and like I told you on your interview, like I practice a lot now. I come in this room
Yeah.
here, I have a setup here, I have a microphone. I sing along to all kinds of different my own music. I sing the Motley Crue stuff. Vince's range is not an easy range,
No.
and it's not.
Right.
It's like, I mean, he set himself up a long time ago to
Yes.
something that was probably really effortlessly for him, the way Axl used to sing. And
Yes.
now both of those guys, what used to be probably natural for them, maybe isn't anymore.
Right.
So it's just, but it's hard, dude. I'm telling you, the songs that I saw they added to the set list, like Louder Than
Yes.
Hell,
Take
I'm
Me
like,
to the Top, right?
they're
Are they
not
doing Take Me to the Top? That's
Yes.
super high.
they're not easy. So some of those videos, who knows? They may not make it to the summer tour. You know, it tested out.
Right.
I'm guilty of doing a tour. My band guys know I make a set list. And I go learn this, and I go, but you know what's going to happen after show one? I'm
We
going to
start
walk
my
off
acts, a
stage, and I'm going to
couple of
go.
them say.
I'm gonna go fuck that song, fuck that song, fuck that song, bring that one
Right.
back, and fuck that song. And so we might have seen a Motley Crue set that wasn't good for Vince, maybe, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't think as much as we all know they're going to make money. Everybody, I go
Of
on tour to
course.
make money, you know. I don't think Motley is touring for money. I think they're doing it because it's they're getting older. This is their last hurrah with it, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And is it what we remembered seeing when the first concert, my first concert? No, but it's like, you know, we're growing old with our rock guys. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what the
Yeah.
future is for Motley Crue, but this, in my mind, I'm gonna go see as many shows I can with this. I'm gonna try to see LA show. I may see the one in North Carolina when I'm there. But you know, this may be the last time. You know, I was thinking like the Ozzy thing that happened this week, a year ago this week, the concert,
Yep.
Yep.
and that performance of Ozzy that we saw was not the Ozzy that we seen before. Or but
Right.
obviously we knew that, right?
Right.
But we loved it. We was like, holy shit, he sounds really good. He's fucking killing it for what. And you know, and no one. I don't think anybody beat that up, you know, because they thought
Right.
this is maybe the last time they're going to see Ozzy. And I'm not putting this out, and I don't think that, but you know, this may be the last time you see Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Well,
You
but
know?
Stevie and I were talking, and we probably got we're getting on 2 hours and 6 minutes. Wednesday, thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
All
Like
good.
Jack Russell at the end, they were wheeling him out in a chair, and some guy was standing on stage handing most of the vocals, and Jack just kind of sat there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying obviously that's not but I don't want to. I don't think we want to see our heroes get to that point. I think we hope
No.
before that happens that we go, okay, it's time to call it a day. Is where
Yeah,
I'm at.
I don't think we're going to see that. It's
No,
unfortunate that
no.
we all know that Vince had those strokes. It's
Yep,
obviously showing in him.
Right.
yep,
But you know what? I saw a video of Vince. Again, talking about different videos. You know, I saw a
yep.
video of Vince from was it the Residency? And
Yes,
I
it was
saw
He
great.
sounded
and I saw
amazing at that.
yes.
Yes,
You know,
he did.
so
I
I think
I think there was some AI technology being used in the residency. There it just
yes.
sounded too good in certain spots that I thought there must be something going on. But either way,
Am-
it is what it is. Part of the production.
Yeah. So, you know, I can see where people would be upset with certain things, but for me, I'm Team Motley all the way. I'm going to
Yep.
follow them to the end. I followed the end concert, and then they came back, and I'm following them again. Like I'm just I'm loyal. I'm loyal to it, and like I said, they're the reason. One of the main reasons I do what I do and look the way I look, and you
Right.
know, they carried a rock and roll code for years, and I
Yep.
feel like I'm carrying that on. I mean, I look like this all the time, you know, because
Absolutely.
I saw Motley Crue look like that when they were off stage. That was just
Right.
that's why I look this way.
Stevie, am I frozen? Am I back? Am I
You're
frozen?
not anymore. You're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, thank you. We got to like 470 viewers, which
Awesome.
is amazing. Wednesday 13, man, the new live album, Unalive at Poland Rock 2025 is coming out in September. Man, it's been awesome doing the interview with you, which go check that out, and having you come on. And man, hopefully you can come back on again sometime. It was
Yeah,
great
I would
having you
love to
here.
come back and chat. Like I said, we could get into all kinds of glam stuff and not have to talk about, you know, but it's been such a crazy story. Like I said, Stevie being me meeting you so long ago and how you've just popped into my life since I was 15. It's insane. You know, even from us
Crazy.
being friends with Rayan, you know, like it's
Yep.
just it's crazy that and, you know, you introduced me to Jason, you introduced me to the Guru. It's just like it's a cool thing. You're like I said, I told him in the interview, you're the Chuck Woolery. You're the love
That's
connection.
right.
I was a
You know,
That's right.
matchmaker.
coming up in 2-2.
That's right. That's right. Hey, we got Ace Rock Soldiers. Thank you for that last super chat. And one more. Jordan Skull, Eat 'em and Smile is 40 today. Isn't that just depressing? I remember when it was 20 years old, like it was yesterday.
I
We're
went to
not
that
getting any.
concert. Unbelievable. Eat 'em and
We're
Smile was
not
amazing.
totally. We're not getting any younger. But hey, that's why we got stuff like this so we can sit and reminisce about it. Everybody's moving forward. Wednesday 13 has a ton of cool shit, man. I can't wait to meet you in California. Remember,
Yes.
we're going to be live at the Rainbow Bar and Grill July 21st. You guys are invited. It'll be at this same time. All that stuff. We'll be there around 3 o'clock. Remember the Tough show at the Whiskey A Go Go, July 24th. And then Tough opening for Quiet Riot and Slaughter at the Grove in Anaheim. Stevie, do you got anything last words before we finish it
Yeah, I
up?
want to give a shout out. I always throw something. Anybody that buys a T-shirt this week or a vinyl record, since we're talking Motley, this was our ode to decade of, what was it called?
Decade of Decadence.
Yeah, ours is Decade of Disrespect. And as you can
Yep.
see, the artwork is a little similar. You're going to get a free copy of Decade of Disrespect, 85 to 95, with any Tough or any T-shirt order or any vinyl order from the Sludge store for the next week. So I always throw in goodies, but since we're talking Motley, you're going to get a free copy of Decade of Disrespect. It's got a 6-page booklet, tons of photos, cool stuff, live stuff, demos, old, new, whatever, all from the 80s and 90s, and that's it. Wednesday, thank you so much for coming and hanging out, dude. You're
Thank
awesome.
you guys for having me. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, I don't feel like we're doing a show. I feel like we're literally just talking
Hell
about
yes.
just
Yeah.
and that's what makes it a fun conversation. And I want to thank everybody that watched your interview. I've got so many messages, people literally writing me going, "I didn't know I would like you." And
Right.
so no, that's
Um,
really cool. And I just love making new fans and. Come check us out. We're going to be on tour. We got a lot of dates, 31 dates in America. Go to officialwednesday13.com. Check it out. Come out to a show. I'll give you a good show. I promise.
Guaranteed.
Yes.
Killer frontman, killer vocalist, killer show. I like when you do the stuff on your guitarist and bass players' heads that line up with the cowbells. You got some good fun stuff in there.
Yeah. We
good
always
show.
do that. We always do a little. We steal the end of kind of live wire with the cowbell, and I always
Right.
walk up to my bass player and I do it on his head every night. It's our little trick that we just know. It's
There's
theater.
cool stuff in the show. There's fun. It's a fun show. It's an awesome show, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. It's not like a super goth audience. Everyone's.
No.
It's not
Right.
like my audience.
fun.
My audience
It's
is
fun.
fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
show. So come out.
I can't wait to because I've never seen you live. I have all your music, but can't wait to see you live. You will find Wednesday's official website down in the description. You'll find the link to Metal Sludge and the Metal Sludge store. You should always support Stevie Rachelle because he does so much for this music. You'll find the link, my link to Spotify. And if you want to give any money to Charlie for any, we didn't see a Charlie sighting today, but you can donate and all that. But we appreciate everything you guys do. Anything else you can do to support us? We appreciate it. Until next week's show, my name is Anthony, but they call me the Guru. You guys take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Laters.